super good morning, Saubana. Welcome to one more episode of Ask Me Anything. Today's topic is, what is the topic? Does anybody know what is the topic today? Oh, so sweet. Harshita is like, you are a vibe. Mornings with you is an energy booster. Thank you. Seeing you made my day. Fresh vibes. I just put up my Christmas tree, so I sat here just so that I could show off that my Christmas tree is up. Saubana Pooja, Saubana. So we're going to be talking about morning routines and why for so many of us our morning routines don't work. I think the most important thing to understand when it comes to your morning routine is also to understand what is your night routine. If your night routine is not solid, your morning routine will not have the stability it requires. So some of us want to wake up really early in the morning, but we're not sleeping on time. If you don't sleep on time, you're not going to wake up on time. Like yesterday, I was just so sleepy by the end of the day. I remember I got into bed at 6:33. And I was like, Puneet, it's only 6:33. I'm already in bed. What's going to happen to my morning? And lo and behold, I was awake at 3:30 this morning. So my morning started at 3:30 because I slept so very early. If you sleep early, there's no way you will not get up early. So for all of you who are struggling regarding the whole waking up in the morning, my simple suggestion to you would be add an hour at night to add an hour in the morning. Make sense? Now, having said that, your morning routine does not need an early morning. Whatever time you wake up, 30 minutes before you start to rush is all that I need. So if you need to be at work at 10 o'clock, then I need, even if you wake up by 8, I'm okay with that. So that you can have enough time to be able to build your 30 minutes in. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while will know that I'm a big fan of Savers, S-A-V-E-R-S. I love following that as my morning routine. S is for silence. Just sitting with yourself in your silence, self-reflecting. One of the sentences I have started to say a lot to myself lately, I picked it up actually from one of the Insta reels, which has been, something fabulous is going to happen today. I'm so excited and thankful to God. Something fabulous is going to happen today. And I keep repeating this many times in the day. Something fabulous is going to happen. Something fabulous is going to happen today. Thank you, God, I can predict something fabulous is going to happen. You see, energetically, because the world is slightly low in its energy with all the wars and the troubles and the, politics problems and everything that the world is facing, there's an energy that is very low. So you can generally wake up negative, sad, upset without knowing why you are negative, sad, upset. You see, sometimes when you're surrounded by people or the world is surrounded in energy that is low, your high energy when you are sleeping can join or get aligned with the world energy. Okay, so I'd love for you to start to just every single day, first in your silence and then throughout the day, start to go, something fabulous is going to happen today. I'm so excited because I can feel it in my body that something fabulous is going to happen today. And you repeat this enough number of times, you will be amazed at how quickly your life will start to give you fabulous. Because you see, at the end of the day, our life is made up of our intent. And when the intent is this kind, it changes how we live life. So S for silence. A for affirmations, okay? Now, from your silence, you can move into affirmations, and pretty much what I'm sharing with you is an affirmation. But I like to now these days write out 3 affirmations for myself on that day. Let's say I know that I'm going to be doing a delivery. Then I'll just say, God, channel yourself through me so that I'm able to speak the language that truly lands with people. Okay, so I'll just create some 3-4 positive present tense sentences that give me the energy that can counter-attack my monkey mind. My monkey mind will say, what if something goes wrong in the delivery? What if it doesn't land? What if you don't close your program properly? What if you... So the monkey mind has a way of showing you the worst case scenario. Your affirmations counter-attack your monkey mind by showing you your best case scenario. And when you repeat your affirmations long enough, the monkey mind has no choice but to start to silence itself. V in Savers is for visualization. This is where you can literally in your mind's eye imagine the entire scenario visually. Okay, so I love doing visualization. At one point when I was young, it was called daydreaming. Now it has a technical term called visualization, but it's pretty much the same thing, where you just sit and think of things that put a smile on your face. You know, I'm going to be traveling from next week, so I've just been visualizing myself sitting on the beach, relaxing, reading my book, setting my 2025 goals, doing, you know, all of the things that I absolutely love doing that I haven't done in a while, because lately I've been extremely busy with a lot of things, and it's just been, you know how sometimes your life just goes faster than you can cope. I feel like I'm in that phase, and I'm so looking forward to Sunday, just going and sitting and doing nothing for 48 hours. So V for visualization, E for exercise. If you don't have enough movement in your life, my recommendation to begin would be 5 to 7 minutes walk after every meal, or 30 squats after every meal. You will land up handling your insulin spike, which is also the #1 determinator of any disease in your body, cardiac, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of that, as well as it's a huge benefit. They say 1 hour of exercise per day versus these 5-7 minutes after every meal. The 5-7 minutes after every meal is more beneficial. Okay, now I'm not talking about strength training, I'm talking cardio against cardio. So don't follow my health advice. I'm not an expert in that. This is just something I have been told and I'm following, so I'm just sharing it with you. I'm definitely no one to give anyone health advice. Okay, R for reading. At all points, I like to keep 2-3 books in front of me, and I'd like to see which one is jumping at me. Okay, so I will keep 1 or 2 classics and 1 or 2 new books, so that I know that I'll open any chapter. I have stopped reading books cover to cover. It happens rarely now. I more like to just go, what's the message of the day for me, God? And I'll open some book and I'll just read those 3-4 pages, and for me, I'll notice that that day, for some reason, I'll be repeating that concept to everybody I meet. So I find it a very nice way of instant in and instant out. That really helps me, right? So that's been, so that is your R. And last S is for scribing, which is basically journaling. I can't mention to you how important journaling is, especially, you know, I like to call it paper dumping. If you have any sort of anxiety, worry, anxious energy, anything that is causing you to feel, what do you call that, kitch, you know, the kitch feeling. I feel like when you put it on paper, it's a lot more helpful, because in your brain, otherwise it keeps going in circles. And I loved it when someone gave me this example that, you know, if I ask you to do 2 plus 2, it's very easy. If I ask you to do 42 plus 42, it's very easy. If I ask you to do 482 plus 482, it's slightly harder, but you can still do it. But if I ask you to do 4,38,865 plus 4,80,325, you won't be able to do it mentally, right? Majority of us won't be able to do it. But the minute you put it on paper, it's not a difficult equation. It just needs to come out of the brain and follow a system on paper. So I really appreciate that you know what, a lot of times we get overwhelmed, we get anxious because we're carrying so much in our brain. You just put it down on paper, you will see how much simpler suddenly that whole complicated thing looks. Got it? So Savers is a lovely thing to follow every morning. I have a few things that I can show you that I like doing. This is one of the boards you get in any of these stationery stores that you can use. You know what, I love like circling and all of that. Any habit that I write out that, okay, fine, let's say the first habit is doing gratitude every day, then I just like to color. I find it very rewarding to use stationery for my morning routine. I have this, what do you call that, like a December calendar. I like to follow my calendar. I keep writing things on it. Underneath you can see I have the October, November calendar. Like every month I'll tear the one and keep it on top. It's just a monthly calendar where I just put the day. The days are already there. I just put the dates and then I just put like what all I have to do. So I like to follow a monthly calendar. I like to also have a daily planner. So every morning my to-do list goes into this book. So I'll just create my whole to-do list, and then I'll just look at my calendar for the month and for the week, that what all do I need to deliver. I just like to plan as much as I can properly. I of course have a gratitude book. I sometimes use the app and sometimes I use the gratitude book. I like to use colored pens, so you'll see that I have a lot of colorful gratitude. I like to do drawings, and I take my time to do my gratitude because I want to really soak in the feeling. So I like to do that. So gratitude book, daily planner, calendar, habit tracker, these are fabulous tools for us to use to create a morning routine. Because one of the most important things about morning routine is it should excite you. You don't want to wake up in the morning and just start to feel like out of a very productive day, now even my morning needs to be super productive. Your morning needs to be a nice buffer between you getting into productivity to you prepping for the day. It's like how a chef goes into the kitchen 4 hours in advance to make sure that they are ready for the day. That's the job of the morning routine, to give you more solid ground to stand on when you are sitting on the idea of planning for the day. It makes me feel a lot more solid when I know I've read my goals, I've done my gratitude, I've done my 5-7 minutes of meditation. Just feel so much more stronger. Okay, but I feel like I do not need to do the same thing every day. So one of the things I don't ever do is punish myself for missing a streak. If one day I land up doing gratitude and journaling instead of meditation and yoga, I don't punish myself. I allow for my body to tell me what is it out of my 15 things that I love doing, what are the 3-4 things I feel like doing today. And I'm a person who gets bored really fast. So if you're also like me, someone who after a certain while just finds routine boring, then I'm going to just show me your first board now. I'm trying to show myself, and yeah, there's a store called Star Mark in Express Mall in Chennai from where I picked it up. But you get these kind of boards that you can actually... That was not a gratitude board, it's a habit tracker board. Okay, so either I'll have a habit tracker board or I'll have a habit tracker sheet. I have a habit tracker sheet also. I also like to keep some thank you cards every morning. If I can write one thank you note to someone. So if you can just buy a box of thank you cards, it's always nice. It will say TYSM, and then I'll just write out a note to anybody that I feel like and send them maybe some flowers or just something that if someone's touched. This may happen not every day, but like at least once a week I try my best to thank someone for something that they've done. So I mean, of course you can go to whatever level you feel like, and again, you don't want to make it so tedious that you start to run away from your own morning routine. You want to have fun with your morning routine. I have a lot of fun. I always keep colored pens. Colored pens and stationery is definitely my weakness. So if you like me love stationery, I'm going to ask you to start investing in some. My husband is fed up of all of the stationery that he sees all over the house. He'll be forever like, Pooja, how many colored pens does a single human being need? Because every time I'll enter a stationery shop, this time I'll buy fluorescent, this time I'll buy metallic, then I'll buy something else. So it's just quite crazy on how much I can spend on stationery. Some of you I know are like me, so I'm sharing this because you can see the quirk that I have and that you also might have. And I definitely feel like my morning routine is stronger because of all of these fancy items that I'm surrounded with, that I love filling up, that I love doing work with. I mean, if you just see the embossing on all of this, it's so pretty. Like if you can see, it's a gold thing, and I love all these very good things. Let me see if I can figure out where this is from. Manufactured in Copenhagen. Oh, this is something I picked up from Barcelona the last time. There was this lovely store called Tiger something, which is very fancy. Alright, so to that was your morning routine. So learning to set up your previous night the right way, waking up fresh, starting to say good things to yourself every morning when you wake up. See if you can do your gratitude. See if you can say something very fabulous is going to happen to me today. Something very fabulous is going to happen to me today. If you're someone who likes to attract money in your life, you can even start to say, money is going to come to me from unexpected sources. Money is going to come to me from unexpected sources. So you'll be amazed at, can you show us your pen collection? Oh, it's all in I just have this nice little box, and I just kept all of my stationery in it, and that box travels with me everywhere. And unfortunately right now it's a little far, so I won't be able to bring it, but maybe I can post a picture of it. If I show you the number of pens I have, you'll know why my husband grumbles. Can a morning routine be done after 9 a.m. as well, or should it be done really early? So this is the whole thing, you know. What is the purpose of the morning routine? To give you a solid ground for you to start to feel like you are disciplined, that you are focused, that you are clear on your thoughts, that you're clear in your intentions, that your positivity is high. These are all the purposes. Now tell me, does this need a time? I know a lot of people celebrate the Brahma Muhurtam a lot, and they speak about why waking up in the morning early is so important. Now I have been waking up maybe before 5 o'clock for the last almost 5 years now. And I can tell you, whether I do my morning routine at 5 in the morning, or I do it at 9 in the morning, or I do it at 9 at night sometimes before sleeping because it got missed, I feel like the fact that I'm doing it, which means consistency muscle, is 10 times more important than the time at which you're doing it. Yeah? Lovely, fabulous. What should we search online to get the first board that you showed us? You know what? Unfortunately, all of my stationery keeps coming from wherever my travels are. So my suggestion would be just search habit tracker board. It's all available on Amazon, but I'm not so much of an online shopper, so I wouldn't know. But I have a feeling if you look for it, you may be able to find better. Sneha is asking, Pooja, what's your skin routine? Ooh. That's a detailed one. So I have a full morning and evening skin routine. I'm very particular about removing my makeup. I had gone to South Korea in April, and South Korea is like a, what would I say, mecca for skincare. So I picked up all of these snail mucin masks and many creams and serums and SPFs. And so while I'm not loyal to the creams that I use, every time I travel I keep picking it up. I'm very loyal to every morning making sure that I don't like to put too much oily kind of substances on my face, because I live in a very humid city called Chennai, and because the humidity is so high, the cream doesn't absorb so well. So therefore I tend to go for things that easily go into the skin. But I like to wash my face every morning. I like to use my 2-3 creams every morning, then put off my SPF, and then on top of that do my makeup. So, and again every evening. And my gut feel is, it doesn't matter what creams you use. What matters is, again, consistency. Build consistency into things. Even if you have a 3-step process, follow that 3-step process, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, for 1 month, and you'll see magic happen. Same is with morning routine, same is with morning skincare routine, same is with the diet routine. It's the consistency. You know, we try something for 1 week and we say, oh, but I didn't lose weight, this is not working. You do it for a month and then you check for the results. In the beginning, don't focus on the results, focus on getting your consistency, getting that whole habit to turn into a routine, the whole activity to turn into a habit. Got it? Dr. Aman, ma'am, I have a question. Is there any specific energy in early morning, like 3 to 5 a.m.? I mean, people speak a lot about the Brahma Muhurtam, and they speak a lot about the fact that the world is in silence. So the internet connection between you and God, or you and the universe, is far superior, because there's not too many thoughts. It's like radio frequency is settled, so your connection is better, is what I hear. But one of my experiences has also been, and I want to share this with the ladies, especially who are listening, is that at one point I had started to wake up so early in the morning that I started to get a lot of sinus and a lot of cold and a lot of these allergies. And I'd gone to an Ayurvedic doctor, and the Ayurvedic doctor said, Pooja, you're not getting enough sleep. And I said, no, but I sleep at 8, so I'm getting full 8 hours. He says, no, but this 4 to 6 sleep, because you're waking before the sun is awake, that means you're not getting enough sleep. And as a woman, there's a whole concept called beauty sleep, which is required. And I didn't believe him at that time when he was saying it, because I was like, the whole world speaks about waking up early. But I remember moving my alarm from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock, when I started to sleep till 6, that means I started to sleep till the sun. Okay, so me and sun used to wake up together at one point. I saw my health improving tremendously. So now, even though I wake up at 4:30 most of the days naturally without an alarm, But if ever I feel like, no, I want to go back to sleep because I'm not feeling as fresh as I should be feeling, then I actually put some lovely white noise music or some meditative music or some waves or rain music, and I go back to sleep till 6. And I have seen that my health has improved so much just by adding these 1.5 hours to my life. So while I'm a big encourager of morning routine, I'm not the most encouraging person about waking up before the sun. Sneha, Pooja, what's your skin routine, your beautiful skin? I've already shared that with you, and as far as beautiful skin is concerned, it's the filter. I'm not saying I don't have beautiful skin, but I use a lot of filter in all of my Insta lives. So for everybody here who's feeling like, it's flawless, it's flawless. It's flawless because our filters make our skin so gorgeous. Elevate life with Shalini. I have an extremely toxic mother-in-law who's extremely vociferous. Is that the word? Vociferous? Sorry if I don't know how to pronounce it. And I have no choice but to stay with her. How to find my peace. What I have realized about especially in-laws is that in-laws is a lottery. Okay? And I say this very often, that this is not your core relationship. Your core relationship is with your spouse. And that's where all of your energy should be spent. What do I mean by that? You starting to understand what is your spouse's expectation as far as his mother is concerned. Maybe he already understands that his mother is like that and is okay with you being yourself with her because she is not going to change at this age, which he's understood. But you feel like, no, I'm a good person, I can't be rude to her, or I can't be anything but nice because that's my value system. And then you go out of your way and then you get really hurt and then you bring that negative energy to your marriage. A lot of times all of these cycles make things far more confusing than what the real problem is. So I'd love for you to sit down with your husband and figure out what is his expectation, and in return what is he going to give you, so that there is a clear barter that if you're going to stretch yourself for his mother, he better stretch himself to take you out for dinner every Wednesday night, because you also need your peace and santulan and all of that, right? So it's all about, if you have a larger mission in life, people around you can't irritate you too much because your focus and energy goes on to being the person you want to become. If you are not living in your dharma, then all of your busyness will get stuck in your karma. So karma is all of the interactions we have with people that owe us or people that we owe, or we can be in our dharma. The beauty of dharma is that it cancels out all of our karmic debt. So anything I owe anybody, if I am so focused on helping the world, to contribute to the world, God will make sure that these people slowly and silently, automatically move out of my energy. Sometimes they move out of your energy literally, physically. Unka koi transfer ho jata hai, your sister-in-law gets pregnant, your mother-in-law has to go spend 6 months in her house. You'll be amazed that energetically, when we don't remain a match, how beautifully the universe will realign you to the vibrational match that you're meant to be. The biggest problem is when we spend a lot of time thinking about the people we hate or dislike. Now, the more so this is our energy, this is the person we are disliking, their energy. And the more we think about the person we dislike, the more we become an energy match. So the exact thing that we hate, we become. So you want to be so careful that whenever in life you are having disturbance or a toxic person, you want to spend a lot of time with people higher in vibration than you. Maybe it can be a mentor, a coach, somebody who inspires you. It could be a family, relative person who's related to you. It could be YouTube people that you love and admire. It could be Insta lives of mine. I had to slip that in. So, you know what? And that will really help you, because the more you're thinking about bettering yourself, the lesser your energy at the lower level vibrational this thing. So see how you can deal with it. I think whenever we are giving someone too much importance in our life, no, that becomes a issue, because then we start to try to fix them. The real truth is, we have to know we can never change or fix anybody. We can only focus on what we are capable of. That in itself is so hard. Like I'm telling people that you can't, even when you choose to wake up early in the morning, you may not be able to wake up in the morning. So if that in itself is so hard, where are we going to change someone else? And that also someone who's 20, 30 years older and set in her ways. Hai na? Diva Hegde. Hi, my friends have suddenly started to avoid me. That's what I'm feeling. How should I deal with it when I meet them? One of the things I've noticed is to go into it headlong. Observe it for a while, and if you feel like it's getting too obvious or too uncomfortable, catch one of them and take them out for coffee and find out what's happening. It could be something you had said or some way you had behaved that the whole group has gone against you. I remember when I had started working, I used to belong to one group, and I remember energetically I had moved on, but I was still trying to stick to them, but they had also realized that I had moved on, and the match was just not happening. And so for a year or so I struggled, and then I sat one of my friends down and asked her what's happened, and she's like, you've completely ignored us since the time you started to work. You only show up when you want to. You don't respond to half of our messages. You're just too busy for us now. And as she was saying all of that, and I realized it was absolutely true. It was true that I had energetically started to give so much focus on my work. This is back in 2011 when I had started right in the beginning, that I had completely ignored a group of friends that I used to give a lot of love and importance to. Like that, you will also be able to figure out what has gone wrong, and then it's a choice. It's a choice you can make whether you want to fix that, or you want to move on, or you want to find a new set, or you want to look at who are the authentic people in the group who still love you even though they think you've done something wrong. You may not have done anything wrong. You may have gotten accused of something that you haven't done, but it's worth figuring out if these people matter. And that's the thing. Half of the time we want things to get okay by itself. The truth is, things don't become okay by itself. Rather, most of the time things get bad by itself. So if you don't confront the issue, if you don't handle the issue, please know sooner than later it will catch termite. I love you for your vibes. That's too sweet. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Pooja, what about vision board session this year? So if you are a part of my tribe, which means either you have done Coaching Mastery or Awakening or any of my 4,999 program, then you are going to get invited for my vision board video that is happening this Saturday on the 14th of December, 9 to 11:30. I'll post about it. You will all get messages from me in your WhatsApp groups. If you're a part of any of the WhatsApp groups with Life by Design, under any of the courses that you've done with me, please be ready. You're all going to receive the link. We won't be able to invite everyone because there's a limit of 1,000 people in Zoom, so that I'm able to see you. So therefore we can only have 1,000 people, and I already have almost, I think, what, 5,000 registrations. So we will be sending you 5,000 registered people in those groups. So we will be sending you the link. My suggestion is going to be get into the group as soon as you can, because at 1,000 we will have to cap it whether we like it or not. So looking forward to seeing you on 14th of December for my very special grand finale of the Sisterverse called Vision Board 2025. So see you there, and thank you for asking. Mihir Rock 21, how to get abundance in life. So Mihir, one of my biggest understandings of money has become that when you pray for money, God doesn't send you money. Instead of praying for money, start to pray for God, give me an idea equivalent to the money that I want to start to make every month in a way that I can contribute to the world so that the world can pay me that money. Let me give you an example. When I decided to become a coach, I remember putting on my goal sheet that I wanted to make ₹1,00,000 a month. Now at 10,000 rupees a client, 10 clients gives me ₹1,00,000. Can I add enough value in a person's life where I can make a difference that they would be willing to pay me 10,000 rupees a month? Is that a possibility? Now if I work and say, you know what, I'm going to help you by taking 2 classes every week, 8 classes over the month, I'm going to help you build your future, your life by design, and this course is going to cost you 10K. Can I find 10 people in this world who would be willing to do that? And that starts to give me ₹1,00,000. And once I start to earn my first lakh, now can I double it? There are 2 ways I can double it. Either I can start to find double the number of clients. That means every client refers 5 more clients to me. And out of the 5 clients they refer, I convert 1 everywhere, and now I have 20 clients instead of 10. Or I can double my money. I can actually start charging 20,000 per client, and that helps me make 20,000 by improving my skill set and maybe giving and offering something extra or more. That not only will you get a 1 month package of Life by Design with me, I will also give you 6 months of maintenance, which means one call every month, and that is going to cost 20,000 rupees. I feel like understanding that money wants to come to you, but you need to add value in this world of some sorts. Now, for a housewife, she can add value in her home. She can add value in her husband's life, from where her money is coming in. For a child, they can add value by doing chores in the house so that the parents can pay them. Every time you start to associate money with how can I add enough value in the world, the ability to earn becomes so much more than when you start to think of abundance as something that happens to you non-mindfully, okay, which is like that you have to get lucky to get rich, or that you have to have your boss on your side to get rich, or you have to start to believe that, some businesses click and some businesses don't click. I would rather you start to look at what's a problem that I can solve in this world for which I can get paid for. And I've seen every time you go into that attitude, instead of creating a product, create a solution in the world. Any solution. The other day there's a company in America called Singularity University, and Singularity University encourages people to come with a billion people idea, which means a billion people on the planet should love that idea or should need that idea for them to help you invest and execute that idea. So there was this young boy who went and got one of the problems in Africa that African people were facing was that the ladies walk 6-9 hours one way to fetch water, and by the time they reach home, half of their water has either spilt or evaporated. Another problem they were having is that they would be carrying their children on their waist as they would be carrying the water on their head. So he created this wheelbarrow where the wheel could be opened. It was a plastic wheel that could be opened, and you could put all the water in it, shut it, and on top of that he had made a mini pram which they pull and push. And that idea took off so beautifully that he was able to sell 1 billion of those wheelbarrows and became extremely rich. It was just an idea. He saw a problem and he solved it. And I feel like we all now need to start to look at the world. World is struggling and suffering with 1 million things. People will tell me, oh Pooja, AI has come out now. Now, coaches are going to get replaced with AI. AI is going to do such a fabulous job. I'm always like, technology enhances what we do. The calculator did not remove the maths teacher. The calculator helped the maths teacher take us to solve problems of the level that we could have never done before. So it just upgrades society, okay? It doesn't remove the need for personal connection. So same way, look at what are the new technologies that are coming in. The world takes time to adapt to new technologies. If you can be a fast mover, okay, just a faster mover than everyone else, you can earn so much money. Now, I don't know why I've gone on this track of how to earn money, but clearly as you asked, how can we get more abundance in life? I want you to start to think of every single day, keep an idea book, okay? And in your morning routine, when you finish your meditation, ask God to send you new ideas. God is looking for people on earth to execute and help the world because he's seeing suffering, and all the people suffering are praying to him, send a solution. You can be the solution. You can do God's work on earth. Correct or no? Gayatri is so cute. Our little red writing hood. I like the way you've put that. That's so cute. Tanuja, your answers are so amazing. I love you, Pooja. I love you, Tanuja. So sweet. Sunali, after working on myself for the past 1 year through all of your courses, I'm more joyful, peaceful person, but I have now become very detached to people around. Sonali, it's so crazy that yesterday itself in one of my relationship certification courses, somebody asked me this question. Detachment is a beautiful thing. Okay, so I feel like when we start to get detached, because we are no longer on the emotional roller coaster that the world expects us to be, or we don't feel the intensity and extremeness of the love that we are used to, whether it is in hate or in love, there was an extreme feeling that kept us going, and detachment removes all of that and puts you at a very stable level. And when you are extremely stable in a world that's completely unstable, instead of looking at them as crazy, you start to look at yourself as crazy, that everyone is feeling so much emotion, how come I have no emotion? But what I have learned in my life is, if you truly want to be useful to the people you love, especially in times of need or storm, the more detached you are, the better solutionizing you will be able to do. Like, I feel so happy that when somebody in panic or anxiety calls me up in my family and talks to me about what they're going through, instead of sitting and crying that my mom's not feeling well today, or my brother needs this, or my uncle needs that, I am happy that, you know what, I'm detached enough to first focus on the problem, get the problem solved, and then work with their emotional energy if it's required. But because I have the solidness of detachment, I can actually help rather than becoming a part of the problem. Some people, somebody else will be going through something, they will make all of the problem about themselves. Oh, you know, my son, and then the focus is not on the son has gotten hurt in the accident, the focus is who's going to handle the mother. I feel like we have to start to position detachment as a extremely wise quality to own. It's not everybody that can get themselves detached. It takes a lot of spiritual connection with God and a lot of divine trust. The trust that you have in the divine, that everything will work out for you to become detached. Yet I notice a lot of people are starting to feel like this detachment is them not being compassionate. That's not true at all. It is not the lack of compassion that is making you detached, my sweetheart. It is the higher level wisdom that is making you realize that you can feel for people without adding the drama that is required. You can still solutionize and be there. Rather, I feel like I'm a lot more caring and concerned about most people in the world than most people in the world who act as if they are. Because I will actually come in to solutionize, while most people will come in to add more to the drama. So please do not look at detachment as a minus. Start to look at that as you keeping your peace as the highest virtue, and everything else comes after. And you live in your peace long enough, your alignment with God will become such that your ability to manifest everything that you speak will come into physicality. And I can guarantee you, people who are able to protect their peace, especially when they are in the middle of a storm or in the middle of problems and challenges, their ability to think straight, their ability to solve issues, their ability to outgrow worldly problems and reach a place of feeling fulfilled is so much greater. So start to honor this detachment that has started to come into your personality. And at any point, if you feel like you want to increase the size of your heart because the detachment is also causing you to go away from someone, make that little extra effort. Oh, thank you. We will share the link for the vision board video, don't worry, and we will also share the recordings, not to worry. Ranjita, it's difficult to accept my now married life. I remember my ex badly from 5 years after marriage also, and it's very difficult to forget how to overcome, ma'am. Ranjita, we as human beings can live two lives. The life that we live and the unlived life within us, okay? And it's totally okay to do so. I'd like you to start to get comfortable with these two lives. Maybe you've married someone who is not the kind of love that you had wanted, and your heart is still with the person who you were with before. Now, there isn't much you can do. unless you plan to, which is also okay if that's something you decide to do. But let's say your ex is also married now and he's also moved on. I don't know what your whole scenario is. What I know is it's totally okay to have two lives. Most of us anyway live two lives, because the life that we are currently living may not be up to the level we want. That there are desires and there are dreams. Now, desires and dreams of the future we can fulfill. So energetically, it's a better direction to go towards. Desires and dreams to go backwards is much, much harder, because we can't get what was left behind, unless you can, which I have no idea. But to have a world inside your head and a world that you live in is how majority of the people live. If every night you're going to sleep thinking about some beautiful memory of yours and that makes you sleep better at night, why not? Now, over time, will this memory fade? I have a feeling it will. As you get busier with the direction of your future, which means the day you decide that, you know what, I want more from my life, I want more from this marriage, I want more from the money that I want to earn, or I want more, I want to look better. The day you have something to pull you into your future, cutting the cords with your past will become very easy. But we can never live in vacuum. So what I can't make you do is forget your ex till the time you don't decide what you're going to replace the memories of that ex with. Okay? And if currently that's giving you some sort of joy, enjoy it. If at any point it starts to feel too painful, my suggestion would be, you've lived that, you've lived this. Now, where are you headed? So one of the things I do in my life is I love looking at what am I looking forward to in my life in the next 5 years? Who do I want to become as a person? How do I want to contribute in the world? All of that helps me cut away from anything in the past that could be holding me back. And remember, your past normally holds you back while your future liberates you. So when you create your present from your future, that's far more beautiful than in being the victim of your current situation. Victim is the one who's trying to fix or go back to something that is not possible any longer. Unless it is, and if it is, then see if you can take your past and put it into your future, if that's an option. And if it's not, help yourself by not suffering like this. See if you can find yourself a solution, because an intelligent mind in suffering is not intelligent at all. True or not? What was our intelligence supposed to do? Help us get out of our suffering. If our intelligence itself is keeping us in suffering, what is the point of the intelligence? Thank you, Fashion 18. Oh my God, best line of today. I simply love everything you speak. You made my day. So blessed today to have heard you. So sweet. God bless you. Wow, Balbon, darling Pooja, let's do God's work on this planet for people who are suffering. So happy to hear that, Ritu. Raj R. Soni, how do you say no to people by just being assertive or in some way diplomatic? I have a sandwich technique that I love using, and I'll show you that. So anytime you want to set boundary with someone, I like to always first thank them for thinking about me as an option. So let's say somebody has heard that I make the best cakes in town and wants me to make a cake for their child, and is asking me, hey, you make the best cakes, yeah, tomorrow's my son's birthday, can you bake a cake? So the first thing I will tell them is, thank you so much for choosing me or thinking about me, or having me as your option. The second thing is where I'll put the Karela sandwich. So 2 breads and a Karela in between. So the Karela in between is, but you know what, I'm fully booked. So I won't be able to do this time, but next time if you can inform me in a week in advance, I'll be happy to do so. So this is where you say no firmly yet politely. Okay, and you tell them why you're not able to do it, so that it makes sense to them, so that they don't think of you as a rude person, but rather they understand. Even if they don't understand, they know why you are saying no. Okay, so let's say my friend says, can you come for a movie? I've bought 2 tickets, now you have to come. I'll say, you know what, I would have loved to come. Thank you so much for thinking about me, but day after is my son's chemistry exam. So unfortunately, there's no way I'll be able to get out tomorrow. This time you go with someone else, but next time if you tell me in advance, I'll tell you before you buy the ticket whether I can come or not. So First is you saying thank you. The second is you saying this thing. And the third is you deciding whether you want to continue this in the future or not. So you are also letting them know that the next time, and then you add whatever. Oh, I'm actually not fond of movies at all, and Hindi movies is totally not my cup of tea. So this is one place I don't want you to involve me. So thank you so much. So you're letting them know that this is not a category they should be asking you about. Or if it is something of interest to you, like for example, I would like you to tell me that I'd like to bake the cake for your son, but I can't do it last minute. You can't take me so much for granted. Then I'll tell them, tell me a week in advance. So the last one is letting them know whether this topic is a continuous conversation with us or it's the end of this particular favor or ask, so that they are clear on whether to move forward, how to move forward with you, so that there is complete clarity. So step 1, thank you. Step 2, Karela, where you put the no. And step 3, you let them know in the future whether you want to be asked again or not asked ever again. Career coach Neha. Today I saw one of my reels getting 11k views. That too organically helped me get out of this excitement and work more towards my goal to do action on bigger purpose. So cute, Neha. So Neha, one of the things our mind doesn't allow us to do is to celebrate our own successes. The minute we do something and we get successful, instead of sitting, celebrating, enjoying, soaking it in, we just upgrade and move on. Upgrade to the next goal, the next goal, the next goal. And that is why a lot of successful people have gone numb to success. The success no longer gives them the joy it used to in the beginning, because now it's just become a race. Now it's just become a destination thing rather than learning to enjoy the journey. So if you are someone so innocent, so sweet, so lovely, so gorgeous, who is enjoying the fact that her 11k views is giving you this much happiness, my suggestion from any shock or from any great news, we should take 24 hours to soak ourselves in the good news. We should really let the good news seep in. Because I can tell you very soon a day will come where, because this world makes us move on so quickly, you'll have to, like now when I do get successful, it means much lesser than what it used to 10 years ago. And I tend to just brush it off like, ye to hona hi tha. But ye nahi hona tha. There's a lot of hard work that I put in, but there's a certain amount of grantedness that you start to take once you're on that path, right? And actually God, if He sees you stop celebrating your success, He takes away your success so that you don't take Him for granted. So the beauty that you are celebrating your success makes me feel so happy for you. Not just you, everyone should be celebrating. And for the next 24 hours, I want you to reward yourself, award yourself, and feel the joy of what you are feeling, okay? And don't ever let this go away. I feel like I have to keep coming back and returning to, telling myself that, Pooja, don't forget to feel the joy, because joy is also another form of gratitude to God. When you do gratitude but you don't feel any joy, that's not true gratitude. Got it? So enjoy yourself, Meri Jaan. I have nothing to tell you. I have nothing to fix in you, but all I have to say is I'm so glad that you are experiencing it. Image designer Mansi, wow, thank you. You just gave me ideas for my program. Love you loads. Grateful for you to do this. Thank you. Shreya, what are the criterias, or at which point can I trust a friend or a man, Pooja? Nice question, Shreya. So Shreya, what I feel, one of my teachers, Mahatria, had said this very beautiful line. He said, doubt till you trust, and once you trust, don't doubt. Which means women in general should take a little time to trust. We fall in love sometimes too fast, and that's one of our issues. How do you figure out the criterias? Look at what are the things that matter to you. Okay, so very important to understand in friendship or in a man is, what is your value system? Let's say for me, my value system is that I need my man to be smart, intelligent, kind, humorous. I'll make a list of whatever it is that I feel I need, and then I'll make a list of nice to haves. If he's also religious, that'll be nice to have. If he's also, a golfer, a nice to have. If he's also a traveler, No, traveler will be my absolute must. I'm not going to put it in nice to have. But like that, I can make a list of both. And then I can check. I can spend a 90-day period, and I call it the 90-day no sleeping zone, where you don't sleep with the person because you want to also filter out all the men in your life who are only there for your body, especially these days where, you know, sleeping comes sometimes before even getting to know people. So you can call it the no sleeping zone, and this is your zone to look out for the red flags. Now, what do? In the beginning, when a man and you are getting connected, or a friend or you are getting connected, we start to have what we call the blindness towards them, which means their personality, our curiosity of getting to know a new human being is making us somewhere a little blind around their flaws, and we are loving the nice version, the version that they are showing to us, the best foot forward version, that we are getting very attracted or admiring that side a lot. You want to wait for that side to settle a little bit, for their personality to settle, so that you can see their character. And a lot of times we fall in love with the personality and we marry the character, where we realize the character was completely different from the personality. The personality was a nice black leather jacket in a Ferrari car, and, you know, shades, and super cool, and, you know, going to the best restaurants. But the character was that he didn't know how to treat the driver. He didn't know how to treat the waiter. He was a very rude person. His family connections were weak. He doesn't have great friendships. He had made all of his money through cheating people. So learning to read people's character beyond personality is an eyes that you have to develop, especially as women in an unsafe world. True or not? So for me, I love to look at the red flags. From the time I message someone, how much time do they take to reply? Do they apologize about replying or not? Do they ghost me 2-3 days and then come back to say, hey, I'm here? Which means he has more than 2-3 women in his life because he's not responding. Is there a good morning and a good night happening? If there's no good morning and good night happening, there is with someone else good morning and good night happening. When somebody starts to say, I'm too busy, no man is busy in love. But the minute he gets you, he gets busy. So you have to be careful about all of these things. And I'm giving you man or friend if you have to look at. Again, the same energy. You're checking for the red flags. And you know what? If you are willing to see the red flags become visible. Or else, in hindsight, you'll be able to say that, you know what? I knew these red flags, but I let them pass thinking it was not a big deal. But anything that in the beginning doesn't look like a big deal, but you can feel that energetically tomorrow these can be a problem, those are great pointers to remember. Now, sometimes in the red flag, you will see a non-negotiable. Okay, so you enter a party with him and he's flirting with the women there and he's openly disregarding or disrespecting you. That's a, you know, blood red flag. So, you know, that's a non-negotiable. This is not acceptable. Okay, you coming half an hour late for the dinner, yellow flag. 3-4 yellow flags together can turn into a red flag. But some things are non-negotiable. I'm not willing to tolerate that. I remember one of my friends, her boyfriend and she were having a fight in the car and he dropped her on the road and went off. And to me, I was like, how is that okay? And he just told her, you take an auto and come. And I was like, that is a blood red flag. You cannot go back to that fellow. So like that, you have to see like what are the real and then time is a great teller of trust. Trust cannot be built in a day. So you want to take time. That's why I say 90 days. It's very difficult for a man to pretend for 90 days or a friend to pretend for 90 days. They'll pretend for the first 30, but by the next 30, they'll start to reveal themselves. And by the last 30, you'll know exactly what their intentions are. So see if you can start to take your time to fall in love and take your time to fall in friendship. And once you've decided to trust them, now you can go all out, because if you are anything like me and you are someone who loves to love, we must have a proper measure. Otherwise, we will end up loving the wrong people. And every time a lover loves the wrong person and gets damaged, their love gets reduced. Their ability to love gets reduced. Their trust in the world gets reduced. And and a certain amount of damage happens where you get scared to open up to another person ever again. And I feel so scared for the lovers of the world because, I have so much to give that I always need to check that does my level of love and the person's vessel, is it a match? Because if I pour into someone and it's all going to overflow and go waste and the other person doesn't know how to receive me, then I'm in a mismatched relationship. Got it? Ooh, it's already 10:58. Okay, let's do coffee photo and then I'm going to run. Oh, that's so lovely. Tarun is saying, fall in love with your partner's flaws. Nobody's perfect. Well said. All right. You know the drill. All you have to do is take a picture, put it on your stories, tag me and let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today. Love the hearts that come out. Celebration. Then which other pose? Alright. Thank you so much for coming. What a delight. Next week I will be somewhere in the world and I will log in from there, and if I don't, then Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's end of the year. Let's make sure we sit in self-reflection. We do deep gratitude for 2024 and we move into 2025 knowing something fabulous is coming towards you. So get the energy of something fabulous is going to happen in 2025. Love you all. Bye. Thank you for coming. Take care. Ciao.